So you finally bit the bullet, you bought your herbs, you put them in, you made a really amazing tincture, and now you have no idea what to do with this and how to actually get your tincture out of there. Hello, my name is Amanda and I'm from the Wild Herbal, and that is what we are going to talk about. In order to strain your tincture, you're going to need obviously your tincture. You're going to need something to strain it into. I like to use something with a spout because it's a little bit easier to put into your jar. Some cheesecloth, or if you have a nut bag, that works well too. You can also use a coffee strainer. If it's an alcohol tincture, glycerin tincture is a little bit hard with the coffee filter because they break. I like to also use a strainer and then a jar to put your tincture in, and a funnel depending on how wide the mouth of your jar is. Okay, so the first things first, you're going to put your strainer on top of your pitcher, and then I like to put my cheesecloth in here. And this is a messy process, so expect that your area is going to get messy, your hands are going to get messy. I like to have towels, things around to help you clean up. So this is a gallon tincture. It's a little bit heavy, but you're going to pour your tincture in there, and the herb that's all on top is called the marc. It's M-A-R-C. You are going to dispose of that when you're done. So you also have having a trash can nearby is kind of easy. So you are going to strain, push that, and then you're going to squeeze it. And you are going to repeat this process. You're going to squeeze every last ounce that you can possibly get out of here. And then when you're done, you're just going to pop your herbs into the trash. If any of you are wondering, this is a calcium tincture that I created that I use during pregnancy. It's really awesome. I also use it for my kids as they're growing to help them develop really good strong teeth and bones. I also use it postpartum too, just to help my calcium to stay really high. It is a mixture of raspberry, oat straw, nettle, a couple other herbs. So once we're done with this, we no longer need any of this. We are going to take our jar to put it in, and we're going to take our funnel. And at this point, if you want to double strain it, that might be a good idea, because I always tend to get quite a bit of herbs actually floating around in there. So I'm going to grab another strainer to put on top, and then we strain it through into our jar. And that is it. You have a strained tincture. So after you strain your herb and put it into your bottles, I had to grab another bottle because it didn't quite fit in this one. You are going to make your labels. You want to have the name of your herb and the date that it was created, not strained. So this was actually made last year at this time, and it's been sitting because I had too much. So, and that's okay. Herbalism is not about perfectionism. Once you make the tincture, it can sit for a however amount of time. It only needs to sit for 6 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks for a glycerin tincture is the most it needs for the glycerin and the alcohol in the water to pull all the beneficial properties out of the herbs. But if it sits longer than that, it's not necessarily going to hurt the herb. So even if you haven't it sitting with the herb in it for a longer period, well, this one was a year old, it's still good, and that's okay. But now we are done with our other herbal calcium, and so we're ready to use this. So now I'm straining it. So it's really important for your herbs. If you notice, these are both amber glass bottles. You do not want it to be exposed to light. So this one is not an amber glass, and I typically don't make my herbs in amber glass. It's really difficult to find them large enough, the mouth anyways. But because this is not amber glass, it needs to be stored somewhere where it's dark while it's tincturing. But now that I'm ready to store it, I can store it out here, or I have another medicine cabinet that gets a little bit more light. So you definitely want to make sure that it's stored in amber glass to keep out all the light, and you want to make sure it's not stored anywhere close to a heat source, because that will also make it go bad more quickly. It's important that as you're making more and more tinctures, you want to keep track of your tinctures. And so having a book with your recipes and different things like that, you can put on here a lot number of, okay, this is lot calcium tincture, this is, you know, my second lot. And then if you have issues with it or you notice any adverse, you can go back and you can say, okay, did I do anything differently from my recipe? And you can make note of that. So it's always good. And I have just an herbal book that I like to keep track of all of my recipes and anything, whether it helps or whether it doesn't help, or whether, you know, we need to tweak, you know, the taste. If you have kids, maybe they don't really like the taste, or even different medicinal properties for different times of the year. Maybe, you know, you had an elderberry tincture and it was working really good, but it wasn't really good for a dry cough, and maybe you need to add something to help with a dry cough. So it's always good to have a notebook that you're keeping track of all of your tinctures in. But that is all you need. So now you have a tincture that you're ready to use. Put it in your herbal medicine cabinet. Can't wait to hear what kind of tinctures you guys are straining and making.